So I've been getting all these questions from our clients and also from friends, of course, about this message that KRA has been sending this week. And it brings us to the question, do I really owe KRA? I think that's the question that we want to answer. And you'll notice the messages will be reading something like this. You have principal tax that you need to pay, blah, blah, blah. Now, one of the things when dealing with KRA is that you have to think the fact that it is possible for them to throw curveballs at you. And I would like to put it to you that at times there is what can be false evidence appearing real. So if you look at this case in point, you're saying here you have principal tax due as of 31 December 2023. So you notice they don't say what is the tax that is owed. They just say your principal tax due as of these dates. So in this particular case, then you notice that this you could say is false evidence appearing real. I mean, you get these and you get into a panic mode, but you don't necessarily owe them anything. Nevertheless, there'll be cases where you owe, and you notice that some of them we read our records indicate you owe 24,000, you owe 51,000, but even if you get a message that says that you owe 51 or 24 or whatever other amount, first thing is do not panic. All right, that the way to deal with let's say with any fear or the fear of the unknown is to get knowledge and to be able to apprise oneself of the real situation. So the first thing that is important to note is that all of these are referencing the date 31st December 2023, 31st December 2023. Even where no amount is owed, it is still 31st December 2023. So what is magical about this number or this date? What is so important about this date? So this date is the date up to which the tax amnesty applies, all right? It is the date up to which the tax amnesty applies. Well, the tax amnesty ends by the recording of this video tomorrow, which is June 30th, but it applies for the period up to December 2023. And that's why you notice all those messages are telling you that you owe that you have principal tax to be paid for the period up to December 2023. So if you get this message, what should you do? Log in into your iTax, and the best place to start is to go to the place for apply for tax compliance certificate. In case you owe, then it will give you a message such as this, that you cannot apply for TCC as you have pending return to be filed or liability to be paid. Of course, if you already have a tax compliance certificate, even if you have accrued liabilities subsequent to your getting the certificate, then you may not be able to see this message. But assuming that you actually do owe, as in this particular case, then it will tell you, please note you can't apply for tax compliance certificate. And because of these particular reasons, click OK to see the details of the reasons. So once you click OK, it shows you, like in this case, it shows the years 23, 2020, 19, and 15. There is these pending liabilities, and it gives you the option to make payment from here. But if you make the payment from here, then you're going to lose out on the penalties and interest. So you want to close this section and then come to the other section here for payments. And this section for payments, then you do payment registration. And if you do payment registration, then you get to see something such as this, which tells you this is the various tax heads. Mostly for individuals, it will be income tax, all right? But then remember, you got the summary for this when you came to the tax compliance. It should have given you the various details, and therefore you can just be able to come and say, well, this is income tax, and you can be able to select income tax resident, self-assessment tax. And once you do, it gives you all the taxes which you owe for that particular tax head. Remember, you can check the various tax heads. There's income tax, there's VAT, all of that. So in this particular case, this taxpayer owes these principal taxes, and these principal taxes have accrued interest, and this is the interest that they have accrued. So what you want to do is to click on the particular year. So for example, when you click on year 2020, you want to only fill in the principal tax. So you come and manually input here 1605, and that means that you're going then to be getting a waiver on the interest, and therefore the amount payable for 2020, for example, is not 2619, but it is going to be 1605. So that is going to look something like this, where you have, these were the principal taxes plus the interest and penalties and fines, and these would be the amount payable. But then since you're manually inputting, the result is going to be that for 2024, the principal tax and the amount to be paid are going to be the same. So you have the principal tax is 298, 400, 1605, and so on. That is what you have here. Even though the amount payable are these 298, 448, 26, you see those are the amount payable, but then you only input here manually. Of course, having clicked here, you input here manually the principal amount, so that then you can be able to get a waiver on the interest and penalties, and the amount to be paid therefore becoming less than the amount payable. So the result is this. You notice, for example, if you take just in a year, if for example the 2020 which we are talking about, it would have been 2620, but now the amount to be paid is 1605. So the total of that in this particular case comes to that 245. You will notice in this particular case that we left out the 2015 because it is in dispute. All right. So if it is in dispute, then, and by the way, you notice that the principal tax has gotten to the point of interest, but this one is in dispute, and probably we'll come to handling disputes later. But for now, what you want to do is the ones that you're sure about, then you can be able to just click, and once you do select here the payment mode, you can just select other payment modes. Then it should give you a section to download the payment slip. Once you do, the payment slip is going to look something like this. You can see the various tax periods, the amount to be paid, and it gives you down here how you can make the payment via M-Pesa, via paybill 22222, and the account number being the payment registration number, also known as PRN. So once you get that curveball, do not be afraid, do not fear, just log in and just self-check. I think that's the point, that you can be able to self-check and see in the particular years. So for example, since this is the section, there are many taxpayers that are coming to this section and finding that actually there is no record, there is nothing here to be paid, and therefore nothing to be afraid of. Thank you, and wishing you all the very best.